So this is a really special episode because I think it has been a long time coming for both of us. Do you remember?
Honestly, no. I think at one point we may have been talking about like our ultimate Halloween extravaganza slash girls trip. And it was brought up that we would like to go to this location. And then I think we just started doing it. We're made in between. I think you are in a stage of your life where this is your last hurrah. You've been threatening to have a child on me for quite a while.
It's time. I turn 32 next week.
Mhm.
It's time for me to have a baby.
Yeah. So you've been threatening this screaming just monstrosity for the last year. And so we said, we got to do it because this is going to be the only time we're going to be able to do it for, I don't know, the next 5 years without a gremlin in tow.
Oh, what if we brought the baby? I know it's probably not a great place for a baby, but
No,
what if we did?
we did a lot of experiences that could have been horrible with a baby that would have been very scary. But I think certain ones could have been enhanced by a baby.
People are bringing babies to horror nights, which I think is
Oh my
poor
God.
parenting. You're
No.
probably not a good parent.
Are you taking that child through the haunted house and are you just using it as a shield to the scare actors?
Well, what I'm saying is that Salem is a historical town. Everybody, we went to Salem. I don't think we said that.
No,
But
we went to Salem.
the baby could learn something.
There's a lot of plaques. There's the same 5 facts that are on the plaques. That baby could really just absorb the essence of Salem and could come out a witch. I don't know. I guess I'm assuming that you're taking your baby with you in the womb and then it's gonna absorb witch powers. But I guess you could also just take a child who is developing and maybe this could be like witchy Sesame Street. Like you just
Yeah, I mean,
immerse them.
in my fantasy, I'm not quite sure if the child is old enough to read or not,
Okay.
but it can
It
see all the
it
wax
can see.
figures.
It could see those really scary wax figures.
Here,
It can hear the really scary the scary ambiance music, the devil music, just like while you're hearing about the bad stuff. So, we went to Salem.
so we went to Salem, and I did not bring my baby because I am not with child yet. However, like Kristen mentioned, I have said this is my last Halloween, so if we're gonna do anything big, we better do it this year, baby. So it got out of the group chat, and we invited 2 other friends.
I don't know if it went in the group chat or it started with the private, just us, and then maybe invited other people.
I think it was open to everybody, but for scheduling purposes, we're the only people that made it out.
Yeah, because 'cause we're hardcore.
We are hardcore. And by hardcore, I mean I will pretty much say yes to most trips. If it's
Mhm.
convenient, if I can get vacation time, the answer is probably yes. I'm an easy person to convince to travel, even though I hate traveling.
No, I agree. Once we were there, I was okay, but just man, just getting on a plane and being on a plane for more than an hour, I will say is just pure torture.
So I travel a lot and I get pretty used to being on a plane, right? I travel to Southern California at least once a month. I go to New York a few times a year. So I'm used to being unhappy. But Kristen, I think maybe she was a special kind of disturbed by air travel.
I was.
So we had a flight that landed in New York, and then we had the same connecting flight to Boston.
Mhm.
Landed a little bit before Kristen, so I went to her gate and I met her in New York before our connecting flight. And the creature that walked off that plane was someone I've never met, something I've never seen before.
Whew. She was special. In order to maximize our time, because we said we're going for 3 days, because tail end of this trip, Alyssa's journey continues after the 3 days. Alyssa goes on to her own solo adventures, for another several days, but we are only in Salem for 3 days. We decide that it's in our best interests to do an overnight flight and just get there really early the next morning
We
on a
arrive
Sunday.
on a Sunday morning,
Yes.
and then we are there from Monday, Tuesday, and then we leave on Wednesday.
Yes.
Why did we do this?
Because it was cheaper.
It was cheaper, and we went in September. We could not afford to go in October.
No, the dream started to die out, I think, when we started looking at hotel prices in October. And literally just like thousands of dollars for just a Marriott type hotel. Airbnbs, the haunted hotels, like where we would want to be, were just so out of our reach. And there's only 2 of us. And We're poors.
I don't wanna sound destitute. I'm living a fine life.
Yes, we're living a fine life, but we're not living a wealthy life, I
Yeah,
should say.
a phrase that I kept using at my Disney World portion of the trip was, "In my dream Elon Musk vacation," and I think in our dream Elon Musk vacation, we would have stayed at perhaps a haunted B&B with an elderly woman who would bake us cookies at the 4 p.m. tea hour. One of
Yes,
those places.
yes, and also we would have gone in October. We would have been there October fucking 31st.
Friday,
W
Saturday,
Friday,
Sunday,
Saturday, Sunday, the witching hour.
but instead we're September Tuesdays,
That's what we gotta do right now.
and that's okay.
It's fine.
And I think once we got there, a lot of the locals told us a great time to be here.
Yeah, so I guess we cannot gatekeep this. They said this was the perfect time. They're starting to set up for Halloween. There were some decorations out. The leaves are starting to change, so you get that fall feel. We decided to take a red eye. We'll just say I don't sleep. At the time we got there, I was convinced I was going to sleep on that plane. I had taken Alyssa's advice and bought this expensive neck pillow, and I'm blaming you for this. And she said, "Oh, I slept all the way to Africa. It's the greatest thing ever." And then I hated that goddamn pillow.
I think it's user error because it is a phenomenal pillow.
I bought one at the airport on my way back, and I slept on one of the planes. Not for the entire time, but for an hour. So, fuck you and your $65 neck pillow.
How much did you pay? $20 for an airport pillow? You can't even get Skittles for 20.
No, I did actually pay $40 for this neck pillow, but I looked it up on Amazon. That is the going price,
So you
and I
paid
liked it.
$10 less to sleep for 1 hour.
I think I'm gonna be able to sleep on our
This isn't
next adventure.
this is not my pillow's fault. This is a you are a particular case.
I will not admit fault, but the point is that is why I was a literal goblin when I got off that plane because I was tired. I also had diarrhea on the plane.
I think it should also be noted that we travel ugly. I
Oh,
will not
yes.
look good on a plane. I have
No.
not done that for quite some time, except when I was long distance with my boyfriend and he would pick me up and I had to look cute. I'm married now and I'm ugly on a plane. I'm not sorry.
I'm ugly more than just on the plane, but I will allow myself to be uglier. I did have my hair up in this weird roller contraption because knowing Alyssa's planning and that whenever you go on vacation with her, it is the Olympics of vacation because I knew the schedule and I was like, okay, we're going to hit the ground running.
Yeah. And then she gets off the plane. She's not doing great. And I say, "Come on, champ, let's get you a bagel." So
Hmm.
we go and we get a bagel sandwich. And anyone who's been to an airport knows that airport food's terrible and you just have to accept you're going to pay $20 for a bagel.
Hmm.
This is a spoiler, but Kristen keeps that bagel in her bag.
But it was a New York airport bagels. I thought it was going to be great.
New York City does not claim that bagel. I can confirm that. She keeps the bagel.
I refused to believe that and I was going to eat it later.
So she takes this bagel, travels with it all the way to Massachusetts, and puts it in the hotel mini fridge and
Yes.
keeps it there,
Yes.
pretending like she's gonna eat this heinous sandwich. I just couldn't understand how somebody would do that. I've never traveled with somebody who saved an airport bagel, who went across the country.
I like leftovers. I can only eat a little bit at a time despite being a jubster. I constantly have leftovers, so I'm always trying to save food. You will probably hear this story repeated over and over again at some point because I usually take half of something home and then it rots in a fridge forever. I've also left food at Alyssa's house when I leave as just a parting gift, like half a donut.
And then my husband eats it. We get to Boston. We take a what is it, like a 35-minute Uber drive?
Yeah.
And it should be noted that I, because I was going on an extended vacation, I brought a huge suitcase.
Uh-huh.
Kristen brought a carry-on. And anybody who knows us knows that Kristen is not a carry-on girl. She's really not. She brings a lot of stuff.
I do. I still brought a lot of stuff in the carry-on, but because again, cheap. And normally this here's a plug, Southwest sponsor us. Southwest, I fucking love you and your free bag that I can check. You can check a bag for free and bring a big ass suitcase to your heart's content. We had to fly JetBlue and American, and those bitches only let you take a carry-on. So I was not paying for the privilege to have extra luggage. So I got a little carry-on. I shoved all my outfits in there. And then I also got a backpack that was the biggest that is allowed as a personal item. And I shoved all my shit in that too. Uh, because again, pores. I'm in the back of the plane. I'm in the very last boarding group. They make me check my luggage, which I was like, cool. I don't got to deal with this carry on anymore. Like, we're good. I don't got to try to take it out of the bin. We get to the airport. The little luggage thing comes around, and we see Alyssa's big ass suitcase. Alyssa's luggage is the only luggage that comes out, to be honest. Maybe a couple of their big suitcases. That's it. And then we're all standing there, and no more luggage comes ever. And so we decide, how long are we going to wait? 30 minutes go by, 45 minutes go by. We're right by the baggage claim office. So I take my little happy ass into that office. And there's a group of people from our plane. They lost all of the carry ons that they made people check. So my luggage is now gone.
Goes Karen.
I
Real
do.
fast.
I do. Well, I don't know how it happened because I really didn't want to get involved. There was an older gentleman who was trying to figure out where his bag was too, and he was the leader of the group. And then he got upset and left, and I can understand why. We get together and we're like, okay, so we were all on this flight and we all had to check our bags because we were in the back. And the rest of the group asks me if I'm going to talk to the person. Sure, fine, whatever. So I walk up and it's a man. He's barely out of his teens. And
You forgot to mention that part.
he was probably in his mid-20s, I would say. But he also just looked like he hated his life too, but he was the only option available. And I walk up and I say, "Hey, I'm part of the group that all their carry-ons aren't coming. Can you tell me what's happening?" And he just looks at me and he says, "I don't know." And then I said, "Okay, is our luggage lost? Is it coming later? What's going to happen?" And this man says, "I don't know." And pretty much every question I ask this man, his answer is, "I don't know." So I walk back out and I tell Alyssa my luggage is gone. And she says, "Okay, guess we're going shopping in Salem." And then I walk back in and I ask him, "Are you going to reimburse me? How are you going to know where to send my luggage? Because I'm not at home. If it comes, are you going to ship it to the hotel?" And this man says, once again, "I don't know." And I looked at this man and I said, "Do you know how to do your job?" Because I feel like you really don't. And I really need my luggage. And can you just tell me ETA? Is it here? Is it lost? Where is it? And he says again, "I don't know." And I literally said, "Fuck you."
You said fuck you to this guy?
I did.
Oh, Kristen, this poor man.
Everybody applauded me. They were like, yeah,
Nobody applauded you.
Yeah, there was applause.
Let me just tell you, no one was happy. Everyone, you didn't fix anything. You just yelled at this poor man. Let me tell you what I'm imagining in my head. You know that scene in Beauty and the Beast where Gaston is rounding up the townspeople and they're like, "We're going to kill the beast." You were Gaston.
I could have been, but we all needed our luggage. And also, 5 minutes later, the luggage all came out.
And you think just because you yelled at Jimmy on the first hour of his shift?
Yes. If that man had uttered anything else other than "I don't know," I would have been okay with it. But he didn't. He just could have said, "We're looking for the bags. We think they're on another flight."
Because he didn't know the answer.
But part of customer service is bullshitting your way out of stuff enough to say, "Okay, I really don't know where your bags are. We think they're on another flight."
Airport attendants, anybody working at the airlines, they're not there to make you happy. Not the vibe.
I've learned this. But at that point, we had been at the airport for just trying to figure the luggage situation out. So we didn't start out on a strong foot. I looked like a monster. I acted like a monster. They lost my luggage. I haven't slept in 24 hours. So we really got a lot of things stacking up against us at this point.
In terms of traveling, let's go back to me. I brought my large suitcase, but I want to mention that I brought one carry-on with me and a purse. But my carry-on only had my work laptop and a Snow White full ball gown cosplay.
For use in Salem.
That was for part 2 of the trip. But I did think This is the only thing I cannot lose on this trip. Everything else, replaceable, whatever. We're in America. If I lose it, I can buy it.
The cosplay
No,
on
you
the way
need
up
that.
there. At least yours made it there.
And I will say too, Kristen and I were in line together when we got to the front of the airport. They said, "We're gonna have to start checking everyone's carry-ons." I, standing there, have accepted my fate, and I think, "Okay, sure, I'm gonna give them my carry-on." They look at me, it's a princess cake-worthy duffel bag, and they say, "Now you're good." So I take my carry-on onto the plane.
Was I persecuted?
I know the real answer, it's because it was a duffel bag and you can shift them and maneuver them, it's different than, like, a hard piece of luggage.
If I would have shoved everything into a duffel bag, I probably would have been okay.
Yeah, but I don't think you have the perseverance to carry a duffel bag through the airport.
No, I need to have something that I can roll along with me, and then possibly at some point that I can sit on and have somebody roll me and the suitcase to the gate.
I think you're thinking of children, how they have the little ones with the handles and they just scoot along with their parents.
I'm short. You could do that to me. Just push me on my carry-on.
Listen, by that point, I'm gonna have my baby that we're taking on the next vacation, so I can't be pushing both of you guys.
Can you get a little twin stroller and I can just climb in the back?
I might have to, honestly.
Okay.
So whatever, we get our luggage. We finally get our luggage. A miracle happens. Kristen's yelling at this teenager. It worked, by all means.
Jesus and Terry answered my prayers. We got the luggage.
We arrive at the hotel, and it was a wonderful hotel, and for anyone who wants to know where that was, it was the Hampton Inn, Salem, Boston,
Conveniently located by a Walgreens and a pot dispensary.
and a FedEx.
So that's important later. And pretty centrally located, I will say. Salem is a really walkable town. We were worried we might have to rent a car. We didn't have to. You can walk to everything. And it was also very close to Essex Street, where like all the shops are and everything. We were on that street a lot. The weather was milder than what we're used to, but I was still sweating just every day. But that's my own issue. I don't think that's Salem's problem. But I will say there's fucking no air conditioning in half of that town. And when they do have air conditioning, they put it on a big sign. There's air conditioning here, baby. Menopausal women come inside and just stand in our store and shop.
It's one of the oldest cities in the country, dog.
I don't care. Put some central AC in, I'm hot.
There were historical buildings.
But we went into some buildings that were historical and they had air. So if they can do it, everyone can do it, and it would be more enjoyable for some people. Just mainly me, I think.
I wouldn't say it was chilly, but I was not hot. So I was thinking how you want to do this. And maybe a little background should be mentioned about my personality.
Yeah.
I have a lot of control issues. And most of the time, I cannot be in control when I tell myself, Alyssa, we're not going to be in control. So I control myself to not be in control. On a vacation, I need to live each moment to the fullest. I truly do.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in a moment where I think I'm never coming back
We've got 3 days.
and I'm doing it right.
Mm-hmm. And so I let this be. When we did the planning stages, we decided we were going to stay together. And then I said, go ahead, be in control. I'm going to be the passenger princess. When we made these reservations, when we did all this was pre-Kristen injury.
So, with my control issues and with Kristen's general have at it attitude, I made a list. I made a very specific list of all of the things I wanted to accomplish. How did I come up with that list? Hours of Googling, hours on TikTok, YouTube videos.
I salute you. I do. I thank you for your service. It was a great trip. Turned out wonderful. But damn, was that itinerary jam-packed from the second we got in the hotel room to the second we checked out.
You know what's crazy though is I don't even think it was that bad.
Oh my God. I told people when I came back and I forgot some things and they were like, did you guys sleep?
Here's what I think we should do. I think I should read the list of our itinerary.
Okay.
And then you and I can discuss maybe a few highlights, things that
Sure.
we thought everybody should absolutely do.
Sure.
So Sunday, and I want to point out that I was very flexible. I moved the schedule around.
She did.
I moved things day by day. I added things. I subtracted things. I'm not a monster. I'm reasonable to travel with. But I'm efficient and I'm effective. And you will see everything that you need to see on this vacation. Sunday, we have our arrival at airport. We
Mhm.
have lunch at Lulu.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's Cafe Lulu or if it's just Lulu.
Okay.
Great cafe.
Was that the place where I got that sandwich?
Yeah, Kristen got a sandwich, and then she complained about the sandwich.
I complained about it because it was too big. I couldn't finish. So I carried the sandwich all day.
And then she didn't like 2 out of the 3 toppings. Why'd you order it?
To be fair, I told them to not put them on the sandwich, and they were still there.
So we get sandwiches. Then we go to Essex Street and we go on a trolley tour. Following the trolley tour, I need an ice cream. We go
Mhm.
to an establishment called Goodnight Fatty.
Mhm.
We follow that up with a photo by the Bewitched statue. And
Oh,
in
yeah.
the evening, we have a ghost tour.
Yes.
That's Sunday.
That's
That's not
Sunday.
that many things. One of those things was literally a photo.
But we had to walk there.
Everything in Salem is one street. It's one street. That was Sunday. That was our arrival day. Monday, we went to Brew Box Coffee, and I need to just say that I'm a very specific coffee drinker. I like good coffee, and I want a lot of it. Um, so I was very particular about the coffee establishments we would go to. So we start at the coffee. Step 2 is the Witch Museum. After that, we followed it up with Witch Picks. I needed another coffee, so we had coffee at Odd Meter. Next up was a tarot reading. It wasn't really a tarot. What was that?
I think we wanted a tarot reading, but what we got was like some rocks and a stick and a man that looked like a pirate.
Then we went to the Halloween museum. We had our aura photos taken.
Mhm.
We went to go see the Black Witch House, which was also just a photo.
Yeah.
A Hocus Pocus self-guided walking tour. And then we had dinner at Turner Seafood at 7:15.
Yeah, we did.
All right.
Did we also go in the pool that day?
Oh, yes, there was a pool in the evening. It's not tiring, though. We just stood in the water. We weren't doing laps.
I'm not saying it, but I do say this is a more full itinerary day. I'm not arguing. I did it all. I was there. I made it out alive.
She did. At some point, she asked to go back to the hotel and said, "Can we lie down?" And I said, "Okay, you have 52 minutes until our next engagement."
Yeah, I got some time to lie down, refresh.
On Tuesday, because you and I are who we are, we had photos at 8:40. Tuesday was a rough day. This was our 3rd day at this point, but Kristen
Mhm.
was done. She was done with the vacation.
Also, I think we should add in what day did I fall?
You fell on Tuesday.
So Tuesday, first thing, let me just say for all of the people who may be old and or don't have a lot of balance, Salem, historical town, beautiful, got a lot of cobblestones, a lot of uneven sidewalks. And I was just walking down the street, doing my thing. I was not feeling great, but I was like, okay, I'm going to seize the day. We only got one more day. Like, I can handle this. I can do it. Rally, rally. And I bit it. But I had a full coffee and I did not spill the coffee. My glasses fell off my face, but they did not break. So I will say the only thing that was hurt in that accident was me.
Your spirit.
My spirit. Yeah. That caused me to have an emotional low as though I've never had before. It was the equivalent to crying on the bus when I got swept at the 10K. Like, I just felt awful about myself. I was hot. I hated everything.
That's how we started Tuesday. Tuesday, first up on the list, Kristen Falls, followed up by photos at 8:40, where we'd walk around and look cute and take photos. Breakfast at the Ugly Mug. And I need you to know, whenever anyone sees there are
Yes.
times next to the things that we do.
Yes.
But we were behind schedule after Kristen fell, but we got back on track.
We
And
got back on track.
that's important. We followed up with the Witch Dungeon. The only thing we didn't get to was the Peabody Museum.
And I think we both mutually agreed at that point after being at several Salem museums. You hear the same facts over and over again. So I think we decided the amount of time that it was going to take us to do that museum wasn't worth the time and effort to be at the exhibit. Because what else were they going to tell us?
Kristen builds a broom. Alyssa simultaneously goes to a bar. A tour of the House of Seven Gables at 3:15, and a sunset schooner tour at 5:15
With a bar.
with a bar. followed by sushi for dinner.
That wasn't planned. That was an ad lib that we did, but it was great.
No regrets. And Wednesday, we had the hotel breakfast.
Mhm.
I went for a walk to go get some donuts. Kristen,
I went to go get a shirt. The establishment was closed, and then I got dog treats for my dogs instead.
and then we bid our adieus. And then I went on the next leg of my journey. But as you can see, we did quite a few things in Salem.
Mhm.
Which one of those would you like to discuss? Or perhaps would you like to tell people you absolutely need to go or you should avoid it?
Okay. So I will say, do we maybe want to go day by day down the itinerary and be like hit or shit?
Hit
Yes.
hit or shit.
Also, before we go on, I do need to say Salem does not like people being able to sit down, and they are also really weird about bathrooms.
Every location you go in has signs that say no public restrooms.
And then even if you need to pee, like you are a legitimate customer and you're giving them your money, and you say, "Oh, do you have a restroom for me to maybe go to the bathroom?" And they say, "No, no public restrooms." And so there is a common bathroom, I think at like the Civic Center or something. But all these places have bathrooms. They just don't want you shitting in them. So I think our tagline is Salem hates sitting and shitting.
I guess I get it, right? Because in the heat of the Salem season, right? Let's
Mhm.
just pretend it's like the third weekend of October.
Yeah.
They're getting hella people. You can't just be letting everyone shit in your store.
That is true, but I feel like maybe that's a policy you should only enact when it's really busy. And maybe if they had let us shit there, we would have bought something.
I'm not buying something to use the bathroom.
I could. I sometimes feel bad. So maybe we should play hit or shit, I'd say.
Okay, so for day one, I think you gotta go to Goodnight Fatty.
Yeah, that was a hit. Also, you gotta take the 4 p.m. trolley tour. That was 100% hit.
The trolley tour goes around Salem and shows you the highlights and gives you, like Kristen mentioned, every museum tells you exactly the same thing. Exactly. And it's not their fault, right? You can't make new history. You can only present it in different ways. But the trolley tour is really like the greatest hits of Salem. And it tells it to you pretty quick. You're sitting, you get the ocean breeze.
People are waving at you from the
Yeah.
street. And also, I would say we learned the greatest amount of facts from that tour. Because I feel like in the museums, there are certain things they don't tell you because it's like not that specific thing. Like we learned about a weird salt water pool. We went by the docks. They showed us where the oldest candy store was. They told us about like haunted things, supposedly. And they told us like the best stores to go to in Salem. Especially on your first day, it helps you get a lay of the land too. Our tour bus was pretty rowdy and tour guide, if you've ever been on the Jungle Cruise, sounded like she was ironically just being very boring, and she wasn't. That was just her speed, and she was, I don't know, maybe 19.
I'm still not convinced.
And at some point, some oldie from the back of the bus, who was not us, yelled, "Let us hear the tour!"
There were some drunks on the bus with
Yes,
us.
yes. But we did want to hear the tour. Uh, it was a good tour.
Can I just say, of my time in Salem, it
Mhm.
doesn't seem like a party town. You have to hunt for the bars.
We did leave out something. On day one, we also did go to that very old graveyard.
Ah, yes, the cemetery. On the list, but I had to move it around.
That also is a hit. It's historical, it's very beautiful,
Takes about 10 minutes.
it's quick, you're in, you're out, you get to see these old gravestones, you get to see an old scary looking house. It's wow, witches. Um,
Yeah, we did that. I forgot. Charter Cemetery.
Go to that. It's free.
Yeah.
Doesn't You don't have to spend a lot of time. I think there were maps that they sell you for $1. And we said, "No, we're just gonna walk in."
I would say everything we did was at a minimum $25.
Yeah, which to be fair, honestly, decent prices compared to what we're used to paying because we are Disney bitches. We're used to paying $60 for a t-shirt. We're used to paying $100 for any event at least. So we got here and these prices were, I think, pretty good for us.
Every time I go somewhere, I think, is it as expensive as New York City? And if the
No.
answer is no, then I'm usually happy. And I
Yeah.
would say not New York prices. And just to
Also
circle back on my
mhm,
choice,
mhm.
Goodnight Fatty is ice cream.
Oh, yes.
I know it's an ambiguous name, but people need to know. Get the ice cream.
It was pretty good.
We went on a ghost tour too that night. I think it's worth talking about just because there are so many ghost tours out at one time, and you can tell that there's some tension between the
Mhm,
guides. It's almost like they're fighting for the good spots closest to the
mhm.
cemetery, walking their group on a certain curb, talking really loudly. Some are wearing like kind of steampunk
Yeah, like a top hat.
costumes. Uh-huh. And then you've got really normal looking tour guides. And you can just tell they're all
Yeah.
probably telling the same stories, but there's something going on.
There's a vibe. There's resentment happening, definitely. And we tried to ask them what the beef was. Our lady was really good, she was really informational. We weren't on a wild tour. We didn't have a steampunk man. I do think maybe what if we went with a wild tour? What if we just broke off and went with someone with goggles? Would we have had a better time?
Maybe.
But the ghost tour was fun. Spoilers, no ghosts.
There's never any ghosts.
We tried really hard on this trip.
Did we?
We did the ghost tour. Ghost tour. We went in the cemetery. I think that the Witch Dungeon Museum was supposed to be haunted, if I remember correctly. The restaurant that we went to was supposedly haunted, had a ghost waiter, remember?
Yeah, I don't think we went to the restaurant for the ghosts, so we went for the
No, we
lobster.
went for the lobster. But isn't the House of the Seven Gables purported to be a little haunted as well?
They didn't mention that on the tour.
We didn't see any. I guess that's the update.
We didn't see any. I need to say something that has bothered me for years. For
Mhm.
fucking years, Kristen. I go on a lot of tours because I like to learn.
Yeah.
I have the curse of eye contact with the tour guides. It's the fucking worst. And you know what it is? I I listen and I nod.
Do you ask questions? I forget.
Yes. And that's you know what? I do this to myself. 'Cause I
That
should
is
look bored.
cute.
I should look fucking bored on the tours. But then I feel once the tour guide knows that I'm locked in, I feel like I have to represent for the whole team.
Mhm.
And I know that some of these fuckers are just on their phone. They're not really paying attention.
Of course. We had an incident on that poor ghost tour where the woman said 5 seconds before we got somewhere, "There are gonna be some things that look like benches, but don't sit on them because they're the memorials for the people that died at the witch trials that were executed," and this woman literally just walks right up to one and just sits her ass down on it. So, no, people don't listen.
So I have to be that person on the tour that's representing, you know? And I hate it. Every time. It doesn't matter where I'm at. And it might be because I'm tall. I have to stop nodding. I just nod when I listen.
Sometimes maybe you gotta take a cue from me, and maybe you just gotta be a little bit of a bitch.
Just look fucking
Yeah.
mad. So that's day 1, our highlights. Is there anything you would say no thank you to? I have a controversial pick. My thing that I would get rid of is the Bewitched statue. And it's a cute statue, but they told us they only filmed 4 episodes there. I just think there's gotta be, like, a more relevant witch for the area.
Yeah. Maybe we could replace it with a Hocus Pocus statue.
There's too much Hocus Pocus in that town already,
I'm
though.
just saying. Sabrina? Maybe we could get a Sabrina statue?
Is she in Salem?
No, she's in a fake place.
Maybe it's the 4 episodes that they're hanging on to.
I'm sure we could get better witch representation. It is a cute statue.
It is cute.
We could have just drove by that on the bus.
Monday,
Monday.
we went to a place called Witch Picks. We have to talk about Witch Picks.
Fucking hit, baby.
I saw a link of things to do, and I send it to Chris, and I say, "You wanna do this?" She says, "Yes." It is $200 for 2 people.
Yeah.
200 and then you pay 10 per person. So,
Mhm.
it was about 220. For anyone who doesn't wanna look this up, I would say maybe don't. Just book your
Just
slot
go.
and go.
Just
Uh,
go.
so it is similar to that of the old Western type of photo booths that you see on boardwalks or in theme parks where they put you in a little getup. It's not a real getup, it's the kind that tie or Velcro in the back.
Put you in with some clips.
It's just such a production. You go in there, they ask you, "What kind of vibe do you want?"
Oh,
And
yeah.
I had never thought about this, but there's a lot of different type of witches you could do.
Yeah.
Kristen, how would you describe the vibe that you gave to them?
So I said, I feel like I got a celestial witch vibe. I said, I like stars. I like nature. I like a little bit of color. I said, I think I'm like my nature witch. And I thought they did pretty good.
Yeah, I think the outfit they gave you fit what you asked for, exactly.
Mhm. Yeah.
So Kristen was wearing some blues and golds, and was there black? It was black.
I had a little bit of black on. I think my skirt was black,
Mm.
but they gave me a cape with stars on it, and I was like, "Hells yeah." So, yeah, I think they did good, and they're all really nice. I should say they're all hyping you up there. They're telling you they're like, "Yeah, you guys look great." They're like, "This outfit, it hits, man, it hits." So, they're hyping you up.
Yeah, they're there to tell you that you look hot. Do they believe it? I don't know.
Who knows? But
I
they
don't know.
make you believe that they believe it.
Yeah, that's the kind of customer service I want.
Yeah, tell me I look pretty.
I opted for a Wicked Witch of the West vibe,
Yeah.
a high neck, it's uptight Victorian look, all
Mhm.
black.
They nailed yours as well.
What's weird is I just didn't really wanna try too many things on.
So you
I
just
j
picked something that you thought you would look good in.
No, I they basically brought out 3 things, and I said, "Yep,"
And you were like, "Okay."
and I was like, "I don't wanna see anything else," because it's a huge room of, just a ton of racks of clothing, and I looked at it and I thought, "There's no way that these can be that different."
Well, especially the black things. You got, like, a corset, a high neck, a lacy.
And you know what I was thinking? I don't wanna ever be one of those people, 'cause I don't know, what else do you have? The kind of women who go try on 60 wedding dresses. They all look the
Yeah,
same. You don't need that many wedding dresses.
no, I get that. I feel like I was letting them give me options, although it wasn't over the top, but I did say, "What do you guys think?" Because I figure they know. I did go through 3 different and then I ended up picking the first one, so lesson learned.
I just picked the first hat they gave me. I was like, "I don't this is a black hat."
Mine had color, so,
Yeah,
I had to.
you had a fancier vibe. I was precise, a precise witch.
You were a controlled witch.
I was. So then they take you into a room that has about 4 different sets that you can choose from.
Mhm.
We went for a kind of classic cottage look.
Yeah.
Uh,
They did have the cemetery one there, which I think if we had been offered, we would have done it, but it wasn't on the website.
no, I think they told us it was special for October.
Lesson learned.
So we had a kind fella, and you just know that these people have seen some shit.
Oh, yeah,
Because
definitely.
who's going to Salem? You got weird goth women, people who want to be goth like ourselves.
Surprising amount of bachelorette parties. Like, we did ask ourselves many times, who's going to Salem for their bachelorette party? A lot of women.
If I lived on the East Coast, I would say why not?
Maybe, yeah. We did see a lot of shirts that said Salem Girls Trip, and
Yeah,
we thought maybe just the 2 of us need this.
Salem is for the girls.
It is for the
Leave
girlies.
your boyfriends at home.
Yeah.
We don't want your husbands in Salem.
I know. We don't need them shitting in the
No.
bathroom.
It's a girls' town. It's
It
for the
is.
girls.
Mhm.
Don't take men to Salem.
Yeah. Go with your lady friends.
But we had a fella who did our photography, and he was very kind.
It's very kind.
He doesn't know us, so he
No.
doesn't know that I like to be photographed in a very specific way.
Yes.
But I told myself, "This is a time where I'm not gonna be in control," so I let the man do his thing.
I think they came out pretty good.
Yeah, I was actually just scrolling through them before we
Mhm.
talked.
Mhm.
They are good.
They're pretty good. I even came in there I am a notorious bad picture taker, and pretty much every picture you'll ever see of me on social media, Alyssa has posed for me, and it's always the same pose because I can only do one.
Just for some background, Kristen will say, "Pose me."
Uh-huh.
And we take photos together all the time. You see how I pose. You see the poses I like. All you have to do is the pose. Just do the pose.
But I don't know how my body works, and then I get very anxious and nervous when in public, and so it just becomes a painful experience for me. And also, I have really weird hands. I have weird, stiff hands in every photo, and so
Everyone is always complaining about their hand. I don't know what to do with my hands. They're fucking hands. You use them all day. Because in your real life, you're not just standing around with all of your 4 fingers pressed together.
I probably am. At some point, they separate you to take individuals because you get some glamour shots of yourself, and I was so hot, and it was air conditioned in there, but they bring in this fan, and I literally go over on the ground, and I just kneel in front of it like it is my Jesus.
In my memory, and I don't know if this is real, you hike up your skirt to let the fan hit your
I didn't hike it up specifically to let it have my vajayjay, it was just to air out everything. And I also threw back the cloak and I just put my face over it. Like I was thirsty and in a desert and this was my water and I just let it wash over me. I could just hear Alyssa giggling because I'm sure it was a sight to
But
see.
I'm a professional, right? I was getting my
Mhm.
pictures taken, so I had to stay focused.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which pics would you do it again?
If you're willing to spend that money for that, go. It's a great experience.
And they give you, what is it, 30 images?
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
give it to you in color, black and white, and then sepia. I think I look good Victorian. I think that could have been my time period.
Yeah. Just with a couple cats.
Yeah, that could have been good. I'm just pulling up some of these. They're so stupid.
Right.
Honestly, they were time well spent, an excellent
They were.
memory, loved it.
Mhm.
So which picks? It's a go. Take your friends, take your kids, don't take your
Take your
husband,
babies.
take your baby.
No, don't take your husbands. Leave your husbands at home.
They do have men's clothes though, if you really had to. If there's no sitter for your husband at home. Oh my gosh, this was such a big day because we went to the witch museum. And something people this is gonna be a long episode because I have a lot to say.
Buckle in, guys.
So my sister-in-law used to work in Salem. She did tours. And I was asking her for a bunch of places where she thinks we should go. And she said, don't go to that place. It's just a lot of wax statues,
Mhm.
animatronics. And I
Mhm.
was like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. What do you mean wax statues?
We did find out.
And you just don't know till you're there that 90% of the attractions are wax statues.
And they are definitely unkempt. Time has not been good. So you can tell the ones that have been in the sun a little bit, maybe the ones that are a little bit older, because they definitely look a little fucked up.
It's funny you say in the sun because these are indoor attractions.
I guess that's true. Maybe just exposed.
They have been weathered. There's no Madame Tussauds treatment there.
No, they definitely bring their own essence to that place because they look just terrifying. They weren't really meant to look terrifying, but they do. And it conveys a very special sense of just dread.
So we went to the Witch Museum and I had never looked it up. I knew it was something everybody does. I knew that I
Mhm,
had to buy tickets in advance. We go early in the morning. We walk into a room that has chairs in the middle of the room.
mhm,
And above us, maybe half a story higher than us, are dioramas of wax figures in different
mhm,
scenarios. The
mhm,
lights go off. A
mhm,
narrator comes up. A spotlight goes on a certain wax figure
mhm.
and then tells a story of the wax figure.
Yeah, and there's very ominous music going
There
on.
is ominous music. It was like Disneyland, but better.
It but spookier.
Like a fucked
Um,
up Disneyland.
the first statue that you see, we don't wanna ruin it, no spoilers for anyone.
First of all, hold on. This is the Salem witch trials. There's no spoiler. No spoilers.
I guess that's true. No
19 people
spoilers.
died.
But they don't let you take video or pictures in a lot of these places. I think because they don't want the stuff to get out, so people will go to it.
Like you and me can be like, whoa, what's going on?
Whoa! But the very first little part of the tour is about the devil. And he's a really scary wax figure. And the more that they talk about it, they amp up the music and the light just gets brighter and brighter on the devil until you can see him. And he's terrifying. And then he has the glowing red eyes. And then they start to fade into the next scene. But the devil's eyes are just still on. It was metal, man.
There was, it was weirder than I thought.
I liked it.
And part of me was surprised, maybe because the last time I had thought about the witch trials was in AP Euro, my sophomore year of high school. I relearned, I don't want to say I learned because I think there might have been a time when I was 16 where this was relevant,
Hmm.
that in order to be a witch, you had to sign a contract with the devil,
With the devil.
which is why there's so much devil shit. We
Yeah.
didn't know. I didn't know. I didn't know there
Oh,
was
I
going to
did.
be devils.
I would say the witch trials are one of like my weird Roman empires. So I knew a lot of this stuff. We kept hearing the story about Giles Corey. Giles Corey got crushed by some rocks. That was a metal diorama too. And when they put on the last rock, he just said, "More Wade."
Someone's listening to this and has no idea what you're talking about. There was a man who was being punished and they piled rocks on him. It and slowly killed him, and they claim his last words were, "More weight."
That was the thing. They were trying to get him to confess, and he was a rich man. And so the thing is that if you confessed to being a witch, you were stripped of all of your land and money. And so he said, no, fuck you guys, more weight, because he wanted to leave his money to his children. He was a metal guy, although I feel like we're going to get a lot of comments that these people weren't good people. That's fine. I get it. He was a Puritan man. He was an asshole.
If they had the opportunity to tell us stories about great people, but they didn't. They told us the Giles story on every possible tour. Every tour.
He had separate dioramas in different museums. So we saw 2 separate Giles Corey dioramas.
Both of them great.
Both of them great.
Perfect.
So I say Salem Witch Museum, hit
Do it.
it, baby.
Do it.
Do it.
You should mention, though, it's only 1 room.
It's 2 rooms.
Well, I don't even
It's
count
2 rooms,
I'm
bitch.
not counting the second room.
And a gift shop.
The second room, I'm not gonna say it's bullshit, but there
Mhm.
was a wax figure of the Wicked Witch of the West. It doesn't quite add up for me.
That first room is definitely like the showroom. What do they say at Disney, like when you have a showstopper room? I think there's like a word for it. I don't know. We'll probably figure it out later. But that one is definitely the e-ticket part of the
Yeah,
experience, right?
it's the moneymaker for sure.
And also in that second room, they have updated wax figure of modern witches. And they really just look like crunchy hippie granolas. They have a woman who has on Birkenstocks and a sweater. Have a man with a beard and a flannel shirt.
So in my imagination, that's why I think this is a 1-room museum.
You can. I think at some point at the trip, Alyssa and I really did think if maybe we were going to come home witches. And I decided maybe. So we took a lot of pictures of herbs, like ingredients and what they meant.
I don't wanna get into specifics because I'm not
Mhm.
there yet emotionally, but I was going through a rough time in Salem. We arrived, both of us, pretty distraught from our own individual issues.
Mhm.
So we did think, and I'm an atheist, so I gotta put that out there. What if this herb saves me?
I came home with some tarot cards, a sage stick, and maybe my life is going to be changed.
It won't, but I get it. They find you at your low.
Yeah, they find you at your low. And they do a lot of fun shit. And I think that's maybe what I want more than anything is just to like dance naked around some rocks with some other ladies. So, which museum? Hit it.
Well, speaking of things that we wanted to be, what about the things we could be?
Yeah.
We saw a psychic.
Oh my God.
His name? I know the name. I literally remember because it's so in my brain, but I don't wanna put it out there.
No, we don't. But this man did look like a pirate.
I went first, and then Kristen went second. We paid $50 for 15 minutes.
Yeah, I think this could have been a ripoff.
Oh, what do you mean it could have been? It is a ripoff. But we knew it going
We knew
in.
it. We knew it. We
Yeah,
did.
I thought we were aware. They're not pulling a fast one on me.
Maybe I would be cooler with the experience if it had been, say, $30 for 15 minutes.
No, because then that's what is that, $2 a minute? No, that guy was performing. He deserves more than that. So I want to describe this man. He looks like the guy who says, "You're killing me, Smalls."
Oh, yeah, I can see that.
So it is a grown-up version of that man from The Sandlot, and he has on a do-rag. This is a white man. This is a white man in a do-rag reading our future, telling us the future. We go up at different times. We're seeing the same experience. There is a table, and there are rocks on the table, and one large stick.
And I think that we did expect to get a tarot reading. That's what I was expecting. I was expecting to get my cards read, and then we didn't. We got our rocks read.
Yeah, at some point there was a rock in water,
Yes.
and then he puts the rock in a bag and holds it tightly in his hand. Does some rocking back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
He's really focusing on it. I don't know what's going on in his mind, if anything. Just counting down the hours till he gets to clock out. And let
Okay.
me just say, you and I had very different experiences.
Yes, we did.
This man really stroked my ego in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe he's for real. I don't know. I started out the session telling him, "You look like an actor." Has anyone ever told you that? Who do they say you look like? Then I had a good fortune. My man told me that I can do anything I want.
Mm-hmm.
He said that I am a Libra and my path is clear, in that it's
Mm-hmm.
not a matter of if I can do something, it's if I want to.
Mm-hmm.
He told me I was an alien and that people put me in boxes, and that I was hard to relate to, and that it shouldn't hinder me, and that
Mhm.
I was very special and unique.
Mhm.
It made me feel very good.
It did. You were hopped up after
Yeah,
this reading.
it's because I was at a low point. Like I
Yeah.
said, I don't believe this in any way,
Mm.
but it does feel good to have a stranger tell you that you're cool.
Yeah. My experience was different. He did not tell me I was cool. I went in there and I feel like I tried to fix my face so that I looked like maybe I wasn't a bitch. And I went in there and I was like, I've had a lot of stuff going on. Maybe I need some help finding the right path or whatever. And I do want to seem interested. So I'm doing like a lot of, mm-hmm. And he tells me, and I got a lot of more like real thoughtful looks from this man. For those of you who are only listening to the audio podcast, what I can only say is I got a lot of closed his eyes, like really put his hand to his temple
He
and
was a
was like,
performer.
yeah, he was a performer. He just did a lot of concentrating with me. Like he was really trying to figure out what my path was. He said, I'm an Aries. I like the facts and I have trouble seeing with my eyes, not with my heart. And I immediately asked him, I said, what the fuck does that mean? So I didn't say fuck. I was really nice. I got a question. What does seeing with your heart mean? And he said, I knew you were going to ask. And I thought, great. I love you, sir. So basically, he just told me that I need to stop being so uptight and just see with my heart. And once I see with my heart, everything will become more clear to me and things will get easier. The very next morning, I fell and I was really trying to see with my heart and it didn't work.
But I didn't fall, and my path was clear. So I think he was right.
Maybe. We'll never know.
He did seem just zooted.
He did. I came out and I was like, this man, he must have been blasted.
And I think everyone should be able to tell the future if they want to. I was hoping we'd be in Salem and a decrepit, elderly woman hobbling through the streets would look at me, grab
Me.
me by the wrist, and tell me she had something urgent to tell me.
Hmm.
And that would be my future telling. That did not happen. There was no old woman hobbling around.
But we did get a man who looked like a pirate. And also, I feel like definitely an experience in its own way.
This guy, he was fine.
He was fine. He
He
was
wasn't what
okay.
I wanted.
No. So I would say, in terms of hit or shit, I would say maybe look around for your fortune teller. We did see this place where there was this lady, and this was maybe the next day, where it was in like one of the shops, and like you could watch someone get their fortune read in the window, and she was using cards, and she was sitting on this badass set that looked like a crescent moon and had a lot of atmosphere, and we thought, shit, maybe this is where we should have gone.
I will not go to an establishment that isn't rated a 4.5 or higher
Yes.
on Google. The place we
Mhm.
went to was a 4.7. That's pretty good. Yeah, I mean, check the so I guess what you should also think of is that none of this is real, so
Mhm.
just go whatever looks cool. The
Yeah.
place we went to did look cool.
Yes. And for me, I will say this added to the experience. He was sitting right by a fucking blasting AC. And so the whole time I did have cold air on me, and I did love that.
We had our aura photos taken, and the reason I can't comment on it is because you get these pictures back, you put your hands on a machine, you
Yes.
get your photo taken, and the
It's like a
photo
Polaroid.
comes back like a rainbow color. I
Mhm.
don't remember what any of the fucking colors mean.
It has a legend on the back,
I
homie.
know, but, like, it's not real. It doesn't make sense. None of it matters. But we just keep giving people our $50.
And we do. And this was expensive too. And again, this man who took our picture really hyped us up too. But I will say also, like, they do sit you in the most awkward pose ever. So if you want to look cute in these photos, you're not going to.
I looked pretty cute.
I don't, because I'm a shorty. Weird.
Like I said, I looked cute in my picture, so I'll take it. But
Mhm.
was it worth a $50?
No. No.
Definitely not.
And we thought the one that we went to was the only game in town, but apparently there are a few. So, like, maybe do your research. And if it's a little bit cheaper, go somewhere else if you really want to do it.
Yeah, but I would actually just say don't.
So this is shit.
At
Oh,
some
God.
point before dinner, we
Uh-huh.
decided we were gonna go on a Hocus Pocus walking tour. And there are 4 Hocus Pocus stops that you can
Mhm.
make. You can go to Max and Danny's house, which,
Mhm.
spoiler alert, we never went.
This is a point of contention. This maybe almost broke up the band.
We were getting divorced because Kristen didn't wanna walk there.
I fell. I was at an emotional low. I also somehow got the biggest fucking blister I've gotten in my entire life as well, and so I was unwell,
Because she
and I was
decided to get
hot.
new shoes before a vacation.
They're cracked. Nothing new about them. They
You got
fit
a
the
blister.
same.
They were a different type of Croc.
They've been fine. I've been wearing them the whole time.
Then why'd you get a blister?
I don't know.
See, you
Carb
kept
I don't know.
clowning around, wearing new shoes on a vacation. Come on. We didn't make it to Max and Danny's house, but we
Because it
did.
was a 40-minute walk from wherever we were.
We could have Ubered.
I said I would Uber.
I'll never see that house because I'm never going back. That's okay. We did, however, make it to Allison's house,
Mhm.
the dance hall where
Uh-huh.
they do the I Put a Spell on You. What's the other
High
one?
school.
The high
Ugh.
school. On the
I
trolley tour, the tour guide said, "There's the high school." So me, I remember I'm very good with location. I feel like I'm pretty good at figuring out where places are. And in my memory, I thought, "I think I know where that high school is. Let's go." Because we looked up an address online. That was not correct.
Mhm.
We end up walking around a park
An hour.
for a long time.
And we have reservations at 7:15 at this beautiful seafood restaurant. So we're on a time limit, and we gotta get to this goddamn high school and give us 15 minutes to walk back to where we were.
I like Hocus Pocus, but I wouldn't consider myself a super fan by any means.
Same.
I need to
Although
go to the high school.
oh, no, because it was on the walking tour, because you had a piece of paper that was a list that said, like, top 15 things to do in Salem, and you were like, "I gotta do all these." Even though we had just literally picked up that sheet in the hotel lobby on the day we arrived, and some of them weren't on the itinerary. I will say I had a hard on for Thackeray Banks. So maybe the Hocus Pocus walking tour would have been like a spiritual thing for me, but this point in time, I was like, "Fuck Hocus Pocus. Burn it to the ground."
Yeah, Kristen did not want to participate in the walking tour. And let me just say, hold on. We're turning down a street, and I say, "No, I swear it's down there. I swear it's down there." And Kristen says, "No, it's over there on the other side of the park. Right? I know it." So our asses march to the building that Kristen swears is the correct building.
And it's not.
It's not.
There are a lot of red brick buildings on the street, and they all looked like they could have been a high school at some point.
And you know who was right?
You were.
I was right.
It doesn't look the same though, because they painted the windows.
It's not a photo that I needed. And in
No, so
fact, I don't know why we went.
no.
You
But I would say in terms of hit or shit per place, Max and Danny's house, we'll never know. Maybe that was a hit and we just don't know it. High school, shit. Dance hall, shit. It was just in the center of where we were, and it doesn't look fun or
It looks
special to me.
exactly like the movie.
Okay, we're divided. I say that's a shit. You say that's a hit.
Allison's house is cute.
Allison's house, hit. It's got a beautiful garden in the back that you would not know was there, and it has a koi pond. Go to it.
Yeah, go to Allison's house. It's
We saw
free.
people getting family photos taken there, but they were getting their photos taken on this random bench by a tree. And we were thinking, why there? Because there were so many other beautiful things in this garden for them to just be by this tree and this bench. Does this have significance in their life? Because you're not taking advantage of the scenery here.
It should be noted that Kristen and I, we take a lot of glamour shots. And there was a lot of places we wanted pictures of on this trip. But people are waiting to get their picture taken. And Kristen and I might need 30 frames. Sometimes 50, maybe 100 if I'm not feeling good. You cannot do that many.
And at Allison's house, we were waiting in line very patiently. And then there was this, I can only imagine, like fucking social media influencer who had the real cameraman. And they tried to cut in front of us. And I said, hells no. Said, you can get up there and you take your pictures because I'm not going to let this woman go in front of us. And she did leave.
I just want to point out this woman wasn't even spooky.
No,
She was like
wasn't.
blonde
She was
in a
wearing
denim jumpsuit.
And a
or
denim
something.
jumpsuit. Get the fuck out of here. We were goth.
I wasn't super goth, but like I was in the spirit.
You were wearing a Salem sweater.
I was in the spirit.
I was wearing
yeah.
a Hocus Pocus dress, and she didn't even know what house they were at. She called it the wrong place. So I say to you, get out of here. Get the fuck out.
You know, some people, they don't get it. So Hocus Pocus walking tour, I would say if you like the movie, do it. It's not a big time commitment until you need to go to Max and Danny's house.
Well, some of the addresses that they have on the internet are not the correct addresses.
But if you go on the trolley tour as we've directed you, you will already know that.
And so maybe just look at them at the trolley tour. The only one that you don't get to see on the trolley tour is Max and Danny's house.
Don't remind me. Why are you doing this to me?
Maybe go on the trolley tour and then go to Max and Danny's house. Alyssa is gonna have to do that spiritually.
I have to go back.
Maybe we can go back with your
That's
child.
my baby. Let me also talk shit about Massachusetts and
Yes.
Salem.
Yes.
Salem is not a food town, and I
No.
made this bold statement to somebody. I made it
Yes.
to the waiter, and he's, "What? Salem has great food." No, it doesn't. Nobody's flying to Salem for the cuisine.
Unless you really love seafood.
But even then, it's, "Oh, I could probably get this in, like, Manhattan Beach." I don't know. I had a good lobster bisque. Everything else was just averagely good.
I don't know. I liked mine. My little local fish and beans, which, spoiler alert, I took half of it back to the hotel room and I did microwave it 2 days later and eat it in bed.
It was rough.
It was good. I didn't get sick. Then I will say definite shit. Halloween Museum, that
Forgot
place.
about that place.
Don't give them your money.
To be fair, we didn't give them that much money. We went on the ghost tour, and when we checked out, they gave you an option to go to the Halloween tour for only $10. I said, "Kristen, you wanna go to the Halloween museum?" "Yeah, boss."
Seemed fun. Was not.
It was not fun. It was a lot of black light, a lot of paintings,
Uh-huh.
a lot of things that aren't really artifacts.
They had all the original Happy Meal chicken nugget Halloween variants in a glass case. But I didn't need to see that. I could have looked at a picture online and been fine.
Yeah, you can miss that.
You can pass that. Also, Black Witch House. Beautiful house. If you're photo bitches like us, just know that house is never in good lighting.
No, you really gotta go on an overcast day. The sun always seems to be hitting it.
But it was a pretty house. Liked it.
I said, "Let's go over some highlights." We just went over the whole list again. Tuesday was also a big day. That's when we
Mhm.
went to the witch dungeon, and I gotta give credit to the witch dungeon because I went there only because this is the establishment that my sister-in-law used to work at. I had to imagine what she would have been like had she been there.
Mhm.
And this was another establishment that really utilized the wax figure system.
And these were more fucked up.
It incorporated part 1 was a trial, which the judge and the townspeople were wax figures, except there was one real person witch and then one accuser who was also a real person.
Mhm.
So these 2 individuals were really going Academy Award winning.
They were.
It was wonderful.
And they used the real transcripts 'cause we couldn't figure out how they get in the transcripts. Someone writing that fast, they don't got a recorder. But so, that was really good. And then they take you downstairs and they show you a few dioramas.
Of the dungeon.
And then they also had another gory diorama, which was somehow worse than the first one.
There's also a gnarly room with
Yeah.
all of the hanging bodies. So good.
And they tell you, trigger warning, if you don't wanna see this, just walk on past and don't look. We took pictures of it.
Oh, yeah. It
Oh,
was the
yeah.
coolest thing I think I saw in Salem.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It didn't have any music in that one. So, no, like, metal music, but other things that were great. So yeah, definitely that was a hit, so do that, and it was cheap, I think it was $12.
Yeah, it was good.
Good.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10 would go again. The tour guide was saying that they have different depending on who they have working that day, they have different parts of the reenactment trials. So you could technically maybe not see the same thing that we saw. Also, they had some very cool drawings around the room. I like the devil. I love an emoji devil. Like, I love a fucked up looking devil.
A devil light.
Yes, light devil. And they did have one of those. We were convinced that we were going to get tattoos in Salem. And I took a picture of this because I thought I could possibly get this fucked up devil on me somewhere. So there's a lot of good, like, weird art.
The
in there as
tattoo
well.
parlors, and honestly, the businesses in general, are not open past 8.
And that is the only reason why we didn't do it, because I think that we had envisioned ourselves getting like a 1 a.m. tattoo on the day before we were going to leave. And that just didn't happen because everything opens at 11 and closes at 8. Beware.
Do you wanna tell the kids about the time you made the broom? We were gonna make brooms together, let me just say this, and Kristen said I had to schedule it.
And you didn't.
I didn't schedule it, I got busy, I was overwhelmed at work, and we get there, and there's only 1 spot available. Kristen really wanted to make this broom, and I was like, "Okay, you go, I'm gonna sit at a bar."
Yeah, so we did. We went on our separate journeys at this point, and so I went to this place, and it was called The Witchery, and basically you go in, it's like a little craft class. You pick out the size of your broom that you want. I will warn everybody, this is very expensive. You pay $50 for the supplies up front, and then that's enough to make you the smallest broom you've ever seen in your entire life. You can make that one. Then you can make a medium one, which is, I say, a child's broom. But then you can make the big mama, which is like a adult person's broom. And I say go big or go home.
And she went big.
I went big. This is where the FedEx comes into play. You can ship your broom home to you. And so because I had a carry-on, I thought, perfect thing. I'll just take this broom, I'll ship it back to myself. It'll arrive when I get home. The lady who taught the class, very informative. They go over some history and they tell you what the add-ons mean. And it's actually hard to make your own broom. You have to wrap the twine very tightly, so it's like a rowing machine kind of deal. And as we know, I'm injured, so this is hard for me. But will say that the instructor told me I did a really great job. So I go to check out and I have to pay an additional $80 for this broom, I think, in addition to the $50 that I already paid. So that's 130 at this point for the broom. Then when I went to go ship the broom to myself on Wednesday morning when I left, I think it was $130 to ship this broom back. Or maybe it's 125. I can't remember. So this fucking broom cost me almost $300. So would I recommend this? Yes. If you're willing to drop the money on it, because this is something I'm going to have my whole life. They give you a little sheet that says, if you hang your broom this way, if you hang your broom that way, it does this and this. I think it's a good souvenir, but it's fucking expensive. Maybe get the tiny one.
Do you think my children are going to inherit that broom?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Or do you want to be buried with it?
I'm going to be cremated.
Do you want me to sweep up your ashes with it?
Sure, you can sweep up my ashes with it and then you can give it to one of your children.
They're going to love that.
So that it has Auntie Coco with them wherever they go.
Wow. Yeah, I got to tell you, I had no FOMO about the broom.
I loved it. I thought it was fun. It was nice because I think at this point, we're obviously still friends, but there have been some tense moments on this trip where maybe we need to decompress. So I think Alyssa sitting at a bar and me going and making a fucked up broom was maybe a good moment for us to just collect ourselves.
Sometimes I just need a Cabernet.
Yeah. And sometimes I need to spend $300.
So we're going too long. I'll just mention we went to the tour of the House of Seven Gables. You and I had not read that book. Would I go again? I think it was a beautiful house. It's cute.
It was nice. This was the only tour that had different information because it was very geared towards this house and this book.
And I guess just the architecture of the area.
It was. They had some beautiful stuff in there. And then it was also air conditioned. So points for me. There were other houses on the property and some very beautiful gardens. And it's right by the water. So it is a very beautiful tour. I think also cheap. $20 a person? 25?
I don't remember. But I would say it's worth it. A good time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also too tall for most of the ceilings. I'm 5'10", so I was pretty close. If you're 6'1", you might have a tough time.
And there are some really fucked up stairs in that place. Yes. And Alyssa climbed up them, and I did not. I went up the more traditional, still scary stairs, but the ones that Alyssa went up specifically has a lot of merchandise that says, I climbed these stairs at the House of the Seven Gables. So if you do, maybe if you're able, go upstairs because then you can buy yourself a T-shirt about it.
I should have gotten the shirt.
I told you should have.
I know, it just felt stupid. But now I should have done it.
It's fine. I'll order it for you.
I wasn't going to talk about the candy store, but there is a really old candy store in Salem that is right by House of Seven Gables. And they were so mean to Kristen.
So mean to me.
Kristen, who is already at her wit's end because she's at an emotional low, she just tries to buy this candy and they just have really bad attitudes toward her.
And water, because I was also very hot and thirsty. And they ran out of water. And they were really mean about it. And so I ended up having to buy this really expensive tropical punch. Which 10 minutes later, when we got to our next stop, bees decided that they wanted really bad, and I had to leave it. And I was so upset. At this point, I felt like going back to the hotel, but we had one more thing to do, and Alyssa kept telling me, It's fine because the next thing we were gonna do was go on a boat, and it was gonna have a bar.
Anyone who knows me, and that's 5 people because I don't know anybody, they know that I love a boat.
She loves a slow-moving boat tour. It's her favorite thing.
I can't get enough of them. So I told Kristen, "Can we go on a historical boat tour?" And she pulled through. She was able to find us one because I looked and I didn't see any, but she found us an old-timey looking boat. So a lot of elderly folk and ourselves got on this boat. We sailed around. I don't even know what the body of water is called.
We were in the Salem harbor. It was the night of the eclipse and the harvest moon, so we got a really great view of that.
Yeah, I had some wine.
I just said, "Garçon, could you please make me a sweet drink?" And he did. So,
Are you one of those people who can't order at a bar?
I don't know enough about the drinks that I like. I mean, unless, like, I do have this drink, mojito.
Hold on. Your signature drink is a mojito.
I mean, it's easy, everyone can do it.
No, it is easy. It's just embarrassing.
It is. I'm not saying this about myself because 'cause I'm proud. I am saying, like, it's sweet, it has some mint, everyone can make it, so that is my go-to drink if I don't have a menu that I can order.
I can't.
I'm sorry.
No, it's just I didn't know I was friends with a mojito girl.
It's not because I'm a mojito girl. I don't want to be.
You
It
know
just
what it is? I've
yes.
never seen you order a mojito.
Because usually we go to places that have stupid ass drinks because they're themed drinks.
You're like, "Can I get the Black Pearl? Can I get a Pink Panther?"
So I know what I'm getting into there. But usually I do order a sweet monstrosity. So
Yeah, you love that.
I do. I love my coffees with diabetes and also my drinks with extra diabetes.
So we get off the boat, we have sushi, we wake up, the vacation's over. We survive our first individual friendship trip. So Salem, would I go again? If I had kids someday that really wanted to go, I would say yes. Would I, as an individual, ever need to have another pilgrimage?
In a world where I'm a rich person and I can just travel, I would like to go back for Halloween. I think that would be fun.
All right. Salem?
When can we leave?
I'm already back, so I'm not coming. I'm not coming again.
Not again. We're never leaving to Salem again. Look at this baby.